Greetings, dear ones. This is Tuesday, February 2nd, also known as Groundhog Day in the United States. This is also February 2nd, first second, is also the Celtic celebration of Imbolc or Imbolg, depending on how you pronounce it or spell it. It's Imbolc, and it's the point at which the quickening of spring begins. The official date of spring, of course, isn't for another month and a half, month and 3 weeks. But this is was traditionally the lambing season, when you would start to see the animals, and in particular the lambs, pregnant and just barely being visible. Their pregnancy just being visible. So this is a time of hope and renewal and the wellspring of life, constancy of the what one author stated as, I love the way he put it, the insatiable appetite for rebirth. And certainly those of you who have been listening or reading any of the vlogs or the latest information, that we are in a process. Last year was referred to as the Great Reset, and that gave us the opportunity for what we want to create and birth in this year and the upcoming decade, because we are starting a new decade as well as a new year. And the energetics that are here today, this has always been a very particular day for me ever since I came across the movie Groundhog Day, and really enjoyed the movie for the first round because it's funny and well written, and then really started looking at it more closely and saw that from my perspective, the perspective of my work, it is the beautiful process of becoming conscious, becoming awakened, if you will, or becoming free, in my language of my work, and becoming more who you are. So those of you, I'm sure most everyone has seen the movie, but if you have not, it is a process of a man coming to awareness that his way of life and his way of looking at life and interacting with people and with the world was very ultimately unsatisfactory, and had no fulfillment for him because there wasn't any real purpose in his life. And once he became aware of others, felt for others, had compassion for others, he was able to feel himself and want to expand himself and become more of who he is. And he goes through the cycles of our individual process of being dissatisfied with the way our life is, or the way a certain pattern is showing up, and being very, very upset, angry, finding dead ends, trying to do this without telling the whole movie if you haven't seen it before, because it is enjoyable. But he does get caught in a loop, and that's what this meditation tonight is all about, is inviting in some of the current energetics to assist in the process of breaking loops, of breaking out of cycles of repeated patterns that we find ourselves in. And the movie itself has been studied and written about by theologians, psychologists, philosophers, um, many seeing it as, from the Buddhist perspective, uh, fo- following along the process. Um, I really see it as an internal journey that, we all are in process of collectively. At the beginning, he is very egocentric, very self-focused, um, takes advantage of his position, and even when he finds himself caught in this loop, he takes advantage of the situation to use people, to manipulate people, to break rules and social mores to his own advantage, until such time as that becomes very boring and old. And then in that, as that process goes and it becomes very boring and old, he then doesn't feel any further motivation. He's done everything to the extent that he can and wants to, and then what? There's no growth. It's just repeating the same things again over and over again. So he wants to end it all, and he tries and tries and tries, but the divine, or whatever you want to refer to it, has other ideas for him, and he can't even kill himself and get out of it. So he must look for a different way, as we all must, to find a way to be basically in love with ourselves and who we are. And he goes through a lot of growth, that I wish there was more time in the movie to kind of spend on that, but it does give you an idea at the end that he is, well loved, well respected. He enjoys his day, his being, what he does. And so, we all find ourselves in those loops. We all find ourselves in those repeated behaviors and ways of being. And it isn't always enough to just cognitively become aware of it and try to change your behavior. Many know that that becomes either futile or very frustrating. And even with all the tools and processes that you can come up with, there is a depth to the pattern that sits in the emotional body and in the energetic body for a deeper transformation, allowing you to access not only a piece of yourself, your personality that has gotten shut away or turned off, but also to access and open a channel to your soul. So there is more to this than just getting out of discomfort. And tonight we have very, very powerful helpers. For quite some time prior to today, the archetype of time, the Universal Archetype of Time, has been present and presenting itself, and in this evening's meditation it will be lending its power, its fluidity. Actually, we live in a dimension where it's a very linear and very confined and confining, and that's just part of the parameters of this particular dimension. But beyond here, in different realities, time is not linear. It is not limiting. On the contrary, it's very, very fluid and very flexible, and I'm sure many of you have seen movies where, the protagonist has been gone and had an entire adventure for days or weeks or months and comes back to his original time. And for those that have been still in that original dimension, no time has passed. They're like, oh, you've only been gone a minute or two. So that's pretty real. And although those time traveling movies that indicate the other ways in which time can present itself. So that's going to be here. So we have Imbolc, which is, as I said, the Celtic celebration of the quickening of life, or the stirrings of life. Way underneath the snow, there's little, stirrings of seeds and beginning to open and move and prepare themselves for bursting through the soil. What else? It's an invitation for each of us to become pregnant and expectant for what will be new life, rebirthing, and also, of course, of hope. Because we're moving out of winter and those shortened days and long nights that, of course, shifted at the solstice, and we have longer and longer days and shorter nights, maybe by a minute or two if you watch the sunset. When it sets, when it starts setting each day, of course, it's getting later and later. And that celebration of the growth of light is also part of the Celtic celebration of Imbolc. And of course, we have the groundhog himself. Groundhog is a fascinating animal. Unfortunately, we do not appreciate him. We do not acknowledge him. Although there is a gentleman in Pennsylvania who has come to really admire and respect and value the groundhogs on his property, and has made them a home and feeds them and has the cutest little picnic table. I'll try to post that at some point, maybe an attachment to this recording. But they do symbolize, they do have great symbology, as do all of the animal teachers. It is a symbol of family and community. And certainly I was the witness to that myself. I had a groundhog for many years, and he would disappear, of course, and go into hibernation, which is another quality of this teaching, this animal teacher. And this is wintertime, when we ideally have the opportunity to go inside and explore and spend time in meditation and introspection and reflection. And for years I thought it was a little boy groundhog that I saw, and he was given little treats now and again. And then one spring came out the groundhog with 3 little babies. And I was very happy, a little bit concerned. They were digging underneath my house, but they seemed to be fine. When they started chewing on the lattice work, I put a little bit of Clorox, thinking that would deter them. And unfortunately, it was too much, and the mother took her children and moved them away. And I would not know that, except that I actually saw the process, and there was one little groundhog that did not want to leave. He was very happy here, and I watched her for several minutes herding him or her to steer her away from my deck and to move to their next home. I did a great deal of process and reflection on that, because this land and home has been created as a sanctuary, and so I did feel absolutely terrible for that. I only wanted to deter them from chewing on something, not make them leave. But luckily, I have the distinct knowing that the one that lives under my home now is that same little one that didn't want to move away and came back and is now an adult and living under my home. And is in hibernation and hopefully will come out and eat all the little treats that I leave for him. So it is the symbol of family, of community, also loyalty, and cycles and changes, because of course it does go through the hibernation process. And one time I was sitting here in my healing room, and the windows are at ground level, and I glanced outside and saw something that I thought was it looked like a mink or a little ferret. It was so skinny and long. And it took me a while to watch what it was moving around, to realize that it was a groundhog that had been in hibernation, and he was about that wide, about maybe this big around, where when they have eaten and before they go into hibernation at the end of the summer and fall, they're pretty darn fat. They're about that big around. So that's, again, it's the symbol of change and how we can change is the energetic that's here tonight. And as well, we have the snowbirds were out. I left food for them, and my goodness, even in the snow that was still falling this morning, they were out and about and seemingly enjoying the wintry snow winter wonderland and enjoying their little goodies. There was also a magnificent red cardinal that stood out so beautiful against the white, and we have that bringing in again some of the grounding and the rooting and the first chakra energies. And of course the snow itself in all of its characteristics. It's clean, crisp, pure, reflectiveness. There's going to be many of the characteristics that we'll bring in this evening of snow, and those, for the majority of the Midwest and through the Northeast, we certainly are experiencing snow in all of its beauty and all of its power and all of its determination of how we live our lives. So another aspect of Mother Nature. And so without further ado, I invite you to settle onto your sits bones, because as you do so, and those are the bones that are right in the very center of your buttocks, one on each, within each cheek. You can feel it if you put your hand down there. It's kind of a pointy bone. And when you sit straight on those sits bones, it allows your spine to align and the energy to flow from the earth up through your body and up through your crown to your wider self, and from your wider self and the divine down through your crown, through your spine, into your root chakra and into the earth, making you a beautiful bridge of those energies and allowing those energies to come in and feed and run through the body for its healing and benefit. So once you find those sits bones, I invite you to just become aware of your shoulder blades and just let them slide downward and maybe a little bit together, not with any effort or pushing, but that just allows your chest to open up, your diaphragm to have space for breathing, and it actually, aside from aligning your spine, will let your body sit in its structural position so that you don't have to hold yourself up. And if you feel like taking a couple breaths, that's fine, but I just invite and encourage you to just feel the breath moving as ever it will, in whatever way it is showing up, and to just allow your attention to turn from the outer world, whatever sounds or smells or experiences or whatever's going on and whatever's going on in your environment, to simply allow it to be there. Not trying to shut it out, whether it's in your outer environment or your mind. For anything we push against has a tendency to push back. So this is an invitation to simply allow your body to do what it knows how to do when you are seated on those sits bones, and allow your spine to align so that the energy can flow. And sometimes I find clients like to say out loud or to themselves, it sometimes helps to say, I am asking and I am allowing my energy field. I am asking and I am allowing my body. I am asking and I am allowing my wider self. I am asking and I am allowing my guides and teachers and masters. And simply sensate, simply sit. No work, no effort, no push necessary. Simply feel, sensate, experience what is going on inside you, in your inner world. And as always, in setting up the structure, the energetic, sacred, geometric construction of this container, we ask and we allow Michael who is always seeing to our safety and security. We also invite in the Divine Mothers to bring in the energies of divine feminine acceptance, sensitivity, compassion. And as always, we invite the Master Gatekeeper, Delphinion, to open all doors, portals, and passageways that can in any way benefit, and to close tightly all doors, portals, and passageways that can in any way cause harm. We also invite Lady Gaia to settle us deep into the earth of us, and therefore deep into the earth herself. We ask and we allow the elements, the elementals, the sylphs, the ondines, salamander and dwarves, to set in right relationship the earth, the air, the fire, and the water of us. Which is also our physical body, our mental body, our emotional body, and our spiritual bodies. And as always, I invoke the Supreme Council of Universal Spiritual Law so that everything that occurs is within Universal Spiritual Law. And in accord with the Great Earth Council of the many, many, many representatives on this planet that make up this Earth project, as well as the great dreamers. And each of us as dreamers, dreaming in this new way on and in and around this planet Earth. Just allow yourselves to settle into the feel of you as the sacred geometrics continue to form and situate you in the exact right position within that sacred geometric configuration for your highest benefit. Along with your guides and your teachers and masters who accompany you always and everywhere. We're allowing those universal mathematics that form the sacred geometric container in such a way that whether you are here in this moment live or at any other point in time, listening to this practice, you will receive and benefit for the energy has no confinement or limitation of space or time. So just continue to allow yourself to just sink ever more deeply down and in to your internal, your inner world, your inner universe or innerverse. Again, just keep allowing. There is nothing you need do. Your energy field and your wider self know exactly how to do this in the best way for you. And now, as the final touches of the sacred geometrics are being put in place, I invite the beautiful groundhog animal teacher with all of its characteristics, in particular that of cycles and changes. And I invite each of you to place within this container that cycle, that loop, that pattern that you have come up against over and over again, have been exploring, probably made different changes, even transforming aspects of it, but somehow just cannot seem to break through. Not simply the repetitiveness, but perhaps a certain aspect that truly confines and limits and impedes you. So we're inviting all of the energetics that are here this evening to assist and guide and show and lead and remind each of us along our own path, our own process of the transformation, transfiguration, or even transmutation of that pattern that we each are naming, silently or out loud, that each of us are placing within this very unique, very particular to this time, this place, those people who are participating either live or at some point in the future. And I further call in and call upon the energetic that presents itself in such a light-hearted but profound way. Through the movie Groundhog Day. For assistance, guidance, energetic help can come in through any and every medium, method, avenue, resource. So the very energetic of awareness and becoming conscious and compassionate and caring and self-loving, all of those aspects that are presented in that form of teaching called a movie. As you are allowing yourself to sink ever more deeply down and within, you need not even focus or follow my words. Simply allow for your journey and I now invite in the energetic of snow. those aspects of clean and fresh, purity, pristine. Nothing so pristine as a new fallen snow. Its beauty, its silent beauty. Its texturedness, so many different qualities, so many different textures of snow, giving us the variety of means to change, to wipe clean. I further invite in its quality of reflectiveness, for it reflects any light and amplifies that light. I further call in its quality of adaptiveness. It forms in and around and upon things. Adapting its shape. I call upon its delicacy, its uniqueness, each flake, truly one and only, just as each of us is unique and truly one and only. And as we allow those amazing qualities of snow, its beauty, its power, its fury, and its gentleness, assisting each of us in our own process of change, of bringing those qualities when and as needed through our individual processes. yourself to sink deeply in to your internal experience. Allowing this very special aspect of nature snow, blending with the teachings of our animal guide, the groundhog. Bringing forth the ability to change so drastically as to be almost unrecognizable. Strong sense of family. Not only your individual family, but the family of man, and even more powerfully, our earth family. Animals, plants, trees, mountains, wind, snow, insects, all the many, many, many members of this earth family. A quality of balance, loyalty, generosity, and the reminder of hibernation, that going within is a vital process, part of our process. In our modern world, to disconnect perhaps from electronics or the news of the day. For a weekend, perhaps. And now inviting in the beautiful Celtic tradition of Imbolc, promise of hope, with the stirrings of new life, pregnant and expectant of possibilities, potential, as we each are. That we might feel the quickening of our new way. Of growth, of rebirth. Seeds planting. Allow the transmission of these powerful energetics supporting, encouraging, guiding, showing, reminding the depth of you. All within the archetype of time, enabling that process of change and or transformation to occur. In the blink of an eye, or more gradually, through the time frame exactly right for you. And allowing yourself to deepen one more level into this very particular, very unique, very potent offering, mixture, blending of these energetics and the exact right combination for you. And ever so gently, as all is consolidating, and incorporating in and through your system, in and through your body, incorporating. So that it is always at your fingertips, at your simple request. And very, very gently, not forcing, not pushing, not deciding, but simply allowing and following your body and your energy field as they lead you from a less physical state of being back to a more physical state of being. And as you allow this to happen very organically, you realize that it is not a here or there, but that this is you, and this blending of your inner and outer world throughout your day-to-day activities is what the potential for this moment of time allows for. I invite you, I encourage you, I will post this on YouTube to allow you to drift back in at your will. And the more you do so, the more those energetics are incorporated in your physical life, allowing for the guidance and the assistance and the reminding of you, to you, from you, let's say, to you, your wider self, to you, of how and when and what information you need for this metamorphosis, this rebirth that we have the potential for right now. And as always, it is with the deepest honor, gratitude, and love for your presence here on the planet at this time. Until next time, be well in all ways.